Hello, Carl here, and welcome to this video on the benefits of using TypeScript with React. So we're going to do a little exercise where we consume a component in prop. First of all, we'll do that without TypeScript, and then we'll try it with TypeScript and we'll experience the difference. So let's try it without TypeScript first. So we've got a header component commented out. Let's comment that back in. The rendered app is in the bottom pane, and we can see we've got an error. And we can kind of see that we need to pass a profile prop, but we don't know what type it is. So let's have a look at the header component and find out a little bit more about it. So we can use the go to definition feature, and that takes us nicely to the header component. And we can see indeed we have a profile prop, and inside that we've got a pages that looks like an array, and we've got a user object as well. So let's flip back to our index page and let's start to consume that profile prop. So it was an object and there was a pages array, so let's put that one in. And let's have a look what type the array elements are. So it's an object with a name prop. So we'll have two elements named page 1 and page 2. Now what was that other property in the profile object? Let's go and have a look. And it was a user object with a name property. So let's implement that. And if we look at the bottom of the screen, we can see our app is rendering okay. We've got our page 1 and page 2 buttons. We've got our welcome Bob appearing as well. But we want to refactor that pages object within that profile property. We want to change the name property to a caption property because we want to go on and use the name for something else. So let's go to definition on the header component, and we can see that that's stopped working, but let's manually flip to that file. We want to change that name property to caption. So let's try and use the rename symbol feature, and that doesn't work. So our only choice is to manually rename it. We're not getting any errors, but we can see our app is no longer working. Those buttons aren't displaying anything. So again, we've got to manually find out where that component's used and manually change the name properties to caption, and our app works again. So we've finally made it. We've managed to consume the component and that profile property. We've done a little bit of refactoring as well. You can see there was a lot of back and forth with the definition of the component to understand what that profile property was, and that refactor at the end where we changed name to caption was a risky change. We needed to be confident that we knew all the different places in our app to change. We're going to do exactly the same exercise now, but this time our app is using TypeScript, so our header component is strongly typed. So we'll start by uncommenting the header component and bring that into play. And we immediately get the same error in the rendered app, but we can see we've got a red squiggly under the header component, and if we have a look, we've got a useful error message. So let's add that profile prop that it was complaining about, and after typing a couple of characters, we get autocomplete. So let's use that. Now as we start to fill out the profile prop, we're going to need more information, so let's peek at the definition of the header component. We can see the profile prop, and we can also see within that we've got a pages array and a user object. So we'll go back to that index file and we'll start to fill out this profile object. We'll implement the pages array first, and after a couple of characters again we get autocomplete. We're going to have a page 1 and a page 2, and when we enter the name prop we get autocomplete again, so let's use that. And when we've finished the pages array, we've still got a red squiggly on the profile, and if we have a look, we get a useful error message telling us that we still need to implement that user property. So let's go to implement that, and we get autocomplete again. And after we've done that, we'll see we've gone slightly wrong. We've used an equals rather than a colon, so let's fix that. I can see our app is rendering nicely. We're going to do the same change as we did in the last exercise. We're going to change that pages name property to caption. So let's go to definition on the header component, and then we can go to definition on the profile type as well. We can go to the pages type, and first of all we can have a look at all the places that the name property is used. So we can scroll through that, so we can have a look that it's used in the header component. We know that it's used in index as well, and obviously it's referenced in our type file as well. So that's a nice little touch. And then we can use the rename symbol, change that to caption, hit enter, and the editor's automatically changed name to caption in all the places that it's used. So exercise completed. So in contrast to the first exercise, there wasn't as much back and forth between the header component and where we were consuming it, because we had that nice autocomplete. It was telling us that we first of all needed to do the pages array and then the user object, and then when we came to make that change where we changed the name property to caption, we were able to use that feature in the editor to see all the different places that it was used, and then we could use that rename feature to actually make the change. So it ended up being a much lower risk change. All in all, a much more productive experience when we use TypeScript with React.